welcome to the Pitch of Discontent. It is Owen back again for this weekly Roundup episode. Yes, I know Paige is absent. She's not feeling that well and trying to balance doing the pod with her day job, which does keep the lights on and pay our bills. So she's currently focusing on that, but it's okay. You've got me. I'm going to be running through the Roundup just like we normally do. I've got a banger list of alternative tunes for everyone, so stick around. We're going to run through that. It's going to be fun. I hope you enjoy it. Let's fucking go. This is episode 223. I've got a couple of things to talk about at the top of the show before we get into the main tracks for this week and we run through side A. Main thing to talk about, first of all, is this incredible cover by Fontaine's DC. They were recently in the country on tour with Shame from the UK, and they did a like a version set, and they did a cover of Bring Me the Horizon's Can You Feel My Heart from 2013's Sempiternal record. Now, this is a mashup that I probably didn't expect and didn't really think would ever be a thing. But it fucking rocks. It's so good. Fontaine's take, I guess, one of the more like mid-tempo, ballady Bring Me the Horizon songs and turn it into this like sensual, slow jam Fontaine's cut, essentially. It's really, really fucking good. And Ground's vocals add like an entirely new dimension to the track that I wasn't really anticipating. It's really, really good. You should check it out. I will be throwing up bits of it on the screen for you to watch and check out. But yeah, it rocks. So sick. And speaking of covers, one of the bands that I listened to way back in the day, I'm talking like MySpace era, 2006, 2007, was Christian, I guess, alternative rockers, Anne Boleyn. They're still around, still doing shit, still touring, but the original vocalist left the band and they have replaced him with Maddie Mullins of Memphis Mayfire. Now, I've never been a Memphis Mayfire head. It's just not for me. Never really listened. Don't have any criticisms to level against the music necessarily. It's just never really been for me. And I've never really enjoyed Maddie Mullins' vocals either. Also, not for me, just quietly. But I was curious enough to listen to this recording that they did of Never Take Friendship Personal, which is probably my favorite Anne Boleyn record and like a fan favorite record for them. And the re-recording is fine. It kind of makes it a more modern sound in ways from at like a production level, but I'm not entirely sure if that's a good thing. It kind of feels like it's robs the record of its soul a little bit. And then obviously replacing the lead vocals with Maddie's vocals, like he's more than capable of performing that record and hitting the notes and doing everything that you need to do, but it just doesn't have the same character to it. And maybe that's because I'm an old head. Maybe that's because the record is like 20 years old and I have like a nostalgic kind of quality for it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not really sure we needed that. And I only listened to the first 3 songs and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need that. So yeah, I guess listen to it if you want to, or maybe just listen to the original one because the original one fucking rocks. There's some heaters, some great hooks on that record. Highly recommend it. But yeah, you do you, I guess. That's pretty much all I wanted to mention at the top of the show. Got some really good tracks this week. Got some cool stuff to talk about. But let's just jump into the show. Let's go. All right. First up, for side A this week, we have a new track from Nam/Melbourne Punk's CIVIC. They are coming out with a new record. This one is called Chrome Dipped. It's coming out on May 30th through ATO Records. Last we heard from CIVIC, they put out a record in 2023 called Taken by Force. I really enjoyed that record. It seemed to do well for the band. I know that they toured Europe at least once or twice, had a couple of festival appearances. So, for all intents and purposes, it was a good record for them. And I think they're trying to capitalize on that momentum with this new record. I got a little breakdown of what the title means. So, Chrome Dipped speaks to this desire to break down barriers. I've got a quote here where they say that the record is about finding human emotion in a world that's hurling towards complete reliance on the machine. And when I read that, I think about how all of this AI assistant stuff is being shoved down our throats and pushed into every software application and app that you need to use for your day to day, and how it's just really fucking annoying and you can't seem to turn it off. And whether you agree with it, disagree with it, whether you want it or don't want it, it's there anyway, and you have to deal with it. So I can understand this complex human emotion vortex that we're all caught in, whether we like it or not. I have an additional quote here from guitarist Lewis Hodgson, who says, we've been pushing a sort of 70s Australian punk sound with our first two records, but I think we wanted to take it in a different direction. I think it was all starting to feel a bit stale. And then frontman Jim McCullough kind of expands on that by saying one of the main objectives for this album was to make a drastic turn in our sound, to break the mold, melt the steel, etc. We didn't really know what we were going to make, but we went into it very open for change. So from all of these quotes, it sounds like CIVIC are in this moment of time where they feel like they need to switch things up. They need to take all of the bullshit that's surrounding them in music, culture, the world at large, and use that as a launching pad to push the band into unknown territory, do something a little bit different. So let's have a listen to the lead single from the record, which also happens to be the title track, and see what this new sound is and where they're kind of going with things. So this is CIVIC, Chrome Dipped.
Gets a facelift, she's chrome dipped on her fingertips. Down at the club, she's feeling pretty well known. Wears her heels down to the bone. She's chrome dipped from her fingertips. 'Cause I've been thinking circus of bleeding. 'Cause I've been.
All right, there we have Chrome Dipped by CIVIC. This is an interesting one for me because I think back to Taken by Force, to the quote from Lewis about the band's like 70s Australian kind of sound they were going for. This feels like a little bit more subdued, right? Like it doesn't have the snarling, brash, bratty quality that you would associate with like late 70s, early 80s, like Australian punk stuff. To me, this is more attuned to, I guess, like the revivalist post punk stuff that's coming out of the UK, and it has been coming out of the UK for the last decade. That guitar lick is like super smooth. The vocals are in kind of that same kind of mid range register the whole time. And it's just kind of a very smooth mid tempo cut from CIVIC. I guess I'd be curious to see if that's something that's carried through the entire record on Chrome Dipped, as it is the title track. So you can kind of read into that as like perhaps emblematic of the entire record. But I don't know. I'd be curious to find out. Listening to it, there was some similarities that I heard in another band from Nam/Melbourne that I really like, and I never got a chance to see live, which is the band Gold Class. Really enjoy that band, and I hear a lot of similarities in what CIVIC are doing on this single to what that band were doing on a few records. But yeah, interesting. Curious to see where they take things on this new record and see what that new territory has in store for them. Let's move on to the next track for this week. We have a split release and collaborative outing from another Nam/Melbourne band. This is Gush, and they are collaborating with a band from Canberra called Spouse. Now, they've put out a 2-track release and like a split release, which is simply just called Split. and it features 2 tracks, one from each outfit, but each track is kind of also like a collaborative work from both bands. And that release is out now through Gut Wrench Records. I've got a fairly lengthy quote here from Ezra Ryan of Spouse, who talks about kind of the setting and where this whole project came about, which I think is kind of illuminating and helps add some narrative context to what's going on sonically. So here's the quote from Ezra. He says, "This split was recorded at the Graum farm on Nagorlum land over 3 days, using only the equipment that Gush and Spouse already owned. Graum, Gralm, stands for Gerard, Rosemary, Andrea, Leon, and Marissa. These are my, Ezra's, grandparents, aunts, and father. My grandparents built the house for their children and subsequently grandchildren. It is a place of quiet, gentle stones and large rooms designed for children to play in. As such, it is also, happily, an ideal place to record music. The garage, once cleared of the many medieval weapons and suit of armor my father built for himself as an angry teenager, becomes a concrete-floored, high-ceiling studio, complete with fold-out table mixing desks, noise-proofing made of family picture frames, and shelves of olives and dried rosemary. It is a place of love and family, and when making emotional music, acted as something of a levy." I think that's really interesting that you can take, I guess, like music that is made, or at least like the original idea of the music, right, comes from this very urban environment, living in major cities like Melbourne, Canberra, and various places across Australia. But then to really shape the record, to really shape the songs, you go remote, you go rural, you go outside of the city and go to this place of quiet kind of contentment to tinker, fool around, and really kind of open up a creative space to make the music. I've never been to the Ground Farm, but it sounds fucking idyllic. It sounds great to just like disconnect and go out there and just do your thing and just make music. So I don't know. It sounds kind of sick to me, and I'm stoked for them. I love the 2-track, and I think both songs kind of complement one another in this very collaborative way that they're talking about. I'm going to feature the Gush track over the Spouse track just because I'm more familiar with Gush, the band. But I highly recommend checking out the split in full and listening to both tracks in that complementary fashion. So let's jump into that. This is Gush 98. That's a long one. That's like nearly 7 minutes. And listening to the full thing, you can just hear these different movements kind of like rising and falling like a wave and crashing into one another in a way that I really, really love. I'm not entirely sure what the depth of collaboration is between the members of Gush and Spouse on individual tracks or on this kind of split release as a whole, but whatever it is, it's working. And what I love about Gush is how they can kind of capture the fuzzy, grungy, kind of alternative tones, but then drag them out into a composition that benefits from both the wall of sound, like shoegaze sonic approach, then a more like slowcore, ambient, letting things kind of like subtly build and cook. And the whole thing just rocks. Like, if you're a fan of any kind of rock music, any kind of guitar music, I think there are sections here that you will love. And on a full release, they're doing so much that really complements all of the different members' talents. I'm yet to see the band live. I know they were the opener for a recent Balance and Composure headline show that Paige and I went to. Unfortunately, we didn't make it to catch them as the opener on that one, so I'm a bit bummed about that. But I really would love to see Gush in person, live on stage, because I think live there would be an extra element to all of this, a sonic kind of oomph, if you will, that would really kind of hit, and I think would really, really be enjoyable and something that would bring a lot of these compositions to life in a way that only really kind of live music can do. Yeah, what a fucking banger track. So good. Go stream the release, the split. Go check out Spouse. Shout out to Spouse. Great stuff. Shout out to Gut Wrench. Great label, great bands, great split. Great. Let's move on to the next one for side A this week. Now, full disclosure, you may be surprised, maybe not surprised. I am not straight edge, haven't been straight edge, would never claim straight edge. I enjoy a beer too much. And even though I have a lot of deep respect for straight edge and its history in the hardcore subculture, it's never really been a thing that I felt necessary in my life or a part of the subculture that I naturally kind of gravitated towards. That said, do love hard, straight edge music. And if I see a band that has X slash something X in their name, I'm going to fucking check that out because it's usually just hard mosh music about, abstaining, about staying true, about, being resilient in the face of life's pressures. And I can relate to that to some degree. We have a new cut from a band called XweaponX. Incredible name. The band features members of Knocked Loose, Gates to Hell, and Inclination. So already they've got enough kind of hardcore credentials that you can kind of tell what's up. The new single from the band is called Everybody Breaks. And surprise, not the members of XweaponX. Oh no, they're still holding it down, still staying true. But Everybody Breaks is out now through Days. It was recorded by Isaac Hale, who plays guitar in the band and is also in Knocked Loose. And it was mixed and mastered by Zach Took. The band are going to hit the stage at LDB Fest in Louisville in April. And then they'll have an appearance at Sound and Fury in July. So ramping things back up as a side project, doing more stage appearances. They wanted to throw out a new single, get everybody hyped on that. And let me tell you, I am fucking hyped because this one rules. So let's just jump straight into it. We can chat about why it rules on the back end. This is XweaponX. Everybody Breaks.
Everybody breaks! Everybody breaks! Everybody breaks! I'm not carrying the charge! When the fire dies! I can't feel sorry!
Whoa. Heavy. To be expected. That was fucking crazy. What I love about that is there is such a science going on in being able to create the exact kind of rhythmic groove patterns for perfect mosh. So you've got an excellent kind of transition into a two-step part over the first verse. You can just see a whole like youth hall of people just fucking two-stepping, the sounds of squeaky shoes. It's like seared into my brain and I haven't even seen it yet. The chorus is super catchy. It involves all of the gang vocals. It's real simple, you don't have what it takes. Everybody breaks. People are going to sing that. It's fucking easy. Even if you're not an edgeman, if you're into hardcore, you want to get up there, you want to scream, you want to have a mic jammed into your fucking mouth. It's great. And then as a closer, there's like exact points where the rhythm is like slightly off kilter, or there's a hold and a drop at just the right moment that you feel the impulse to headbang, to bang your fist, to fucking be like, that just fucking hits. And I love that shit. I love that this kind of hardcore metal crossover can be so like scientifically precise that it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. It is weaponized, some might say, X weaponized X. You're welcome. We love puns. Weird at doing it when it's just me and not Paige being like, you're a fucking moron, but I do it anyway. I do it for you folks because it's fun. Let's move on to the next track for side A. This is a band that I'm excited to talk about. I think I featured them on the podcast. I definitely featured them on the podcast, but probably when we were just doing audio episodes. I don't think we featured them since we switched to video. So that's a first. The band is New Zealand indie rockers Ringlets. They put out a self-titled debut record in 2023, which I really enjoyed. Lead single was a track called Sever. I saw it profiled in Rolling Stone magazine, and I was like, that's a band I'm not familiar with. Checked it out. Excuse me. Incredible band. Really, really good single. If you're into any kind of like 2000s indie rock revival sort of stuff, I'm thinking Block Party, I'm thinking Interpol, I'm thinking a bunch of other bands that would probably tour with those bands. You will fuck with this and you will enjoy this. Now, they have a new record coming out. This is their sophomore album, and it is titled, wait for this, The Lord is My German Shepherd, parentheses, Time for Walkies. Incredible. No notes. Fantastic album title. Now, that record is out on June 27th via Flying Nun Records and Leather Jacket Records. I've got a quote here that describes the album is billed as the shimmering follow-up to their distinct eponymous debut and a vibrant expression of their singular songcraft. Great. Love that. It goes on to say that the record, quote, conjures mystic visions, takes raucous, unkempt, yet solely committed turns, twists, and tiptoes delicately between the absurd and the divine. Let's fucking go. That sounds incredible. I'm here for this. Lead single is called Heavenly Wheel, and I've got a quote here from vocalist Leith Towers talking about the song. He shares, quote, the song is about inescapism, being trapped in the bed you've made for yourself. The video captures this concept through vignettes of endless and pointless tasks, ultimately suggesting that it's not so bad when you're in said bed together. I'm here for this. I like this. I've already listened to the single, obviously. It's fantastic, and I think it really kind of shows the growth and maturity that Ringlets are working with on this new record, which I haven't yet heard, but I'm guessing from this single that that's what's happening, so trust me on this. But let's have a listen. So this is Ringlets' Heavenly Wheel. So goddamn good. Incredible. I think what I love about that song the most is how it is anchored by that lead guitar line. It starts off super delicate, that dun, 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 and then the kind of like vocal line that comes in almost like parallel to that guitar line with that first kind of little line of like quick, say something profound, kind of like grabs your attention immediately. And then you're kind of locked in as that lead line just keeps repeating itself over and over and over again. And the rest of the track is kind of like, ebbing and flowing around it. Towards the midsection, it starts to get a little bit heavier. There's more grit, there's more texture. And then the vocal becomes a little bit more cavernous and a little bit more open. And when everything really kicks into gear, it's the same kind of pieces as before, just more realized, more locked in, more cohesive. Great song. and probably my favorite Ringlets song, even though I really enjoyed the first record. I really enjoyed Sever as a single. What they're doing here is just instantly captivating to me, and I really, really enjoy it. I am excited to hear the record, and I think I'll go on record as saying that this might be one of my most anticipated albums of the year, just because I think the band have a lot of talent, and I don't think people have fully caught on to the breadth of that talent yet, but I have. And I'm excited for it, and I think you should be excited for it too. So I hope you enjoyed that one. I have a final track for you for side A this week. This one comes from Steel City crew Malevolence. They are back with their highly anticipated follow up to their 2022 LP Malicious Intent. The new record is titled Where Only the Truth is Spoken, and it is reportedly, quote, a level up in every sense, musically, lyrically, and visually. So we're here for that. Let's go. The band goes on to state that the production, the songwriting, the videos, everything about this record is bigger, heavier, and more refined. And I'm excited by that logline because to me, Malevolence have always kind of been this band that kind of exists in a weird kind of sweet spot. So they have like the mosh credentials of a band like, let's say, Hatebreed. And I'm thinking especially like latter day Hatebreed. But they do have the ability to kind of go for your more doomy, more riffy inspired stuff, kind of splitting the difference between like a Hatebreed and a Crowbar in the way that Kingdom of Sorrow didn't quite do. This is a little bit more accessible, a little bit moshier, a little bit for the kids. But I really enjoy what Malevolence do. And this new single from the new record, mate, it's fucking crazy. So the single is called If It's All the Same to You. The film clip for it is heavily inspired, some would say indebted to, the film canon of Guy Ritchie. We're talking Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, specifically Snatch. Less rock and roller, but sure, you can loop that in as a trilogy if you like. And they actually have a cameo from Alan Ford, who is a very popular British actor, most popular for his role as Bricktop in Snatch. So he's kind of doing the exact same character in this, which I think is dope for the guys to kind of like clearly be inspired by that kind of British gangster kind of thing and to weave it into what they're doing on the new record. Sick. We love a visual aesthetic. We love a narrative. We love people who shoot for the moon when it comes to a concept. So I'm stoked for it. Final point to note is that Malevolence will be coming to Australia this year. They are the main support for Alpha Wolf's Terrible Days Across Australia regional tour. So not only are they playing close to some of the capital cities, but going further afield to some regional dates and places that might not be familiar with what the Steel City crew are doing. So excited for them to fuck shit up around the country. That's going to be dope. So get tickets for that if that's something that you're interested in. Let's have a listen to this single. This thing rocks. This is Malevolence, If It's All the Same to You.
My brain shakes, but the feelings don't. 'Cause you're one and the same. Another dickhead with a lot to say. So roll the dice, bend the blind. So if it's all the same to you, I'll come on my side and separate myself into.
I think it's really kind of selling it for me with that kind of playful lead line, that dun 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 whoop, little pinch harmonics. Love that shit. Funnily enough, I was listening to the song, getting ready to kind of jump back in and do this reaction, and I got the official press release for the record from Nuclear Blast, so that's timely. But there's some details in there which I think are kind of helpful. So it's talking about how they recorded in California with Grammy Award-winning producer Josh Wilbur. He's worked with Lamb of God, Gojira, Trivium, a bunch of big iconic names in the heavy metal space. They recorded at Dave Grohl's Studio 606. They track the record through a Neve console. So they are really kind of going for this very organic, weighty, natural sound, really trying to get forth the kind of raw heaviness and sonic weight that the band puts together. But I think it works in contrast with those very like playful guitar lines, and clearly the clean vocal is very like Crowbar inspired. You know, the if it's all the same to you. Like, love that shit. And apologies for my singing voice. I can't sing, but you're welcome. I just think that what the band do is really, really good. And they split the difference between that traditional metal sound, for lack of a better word, and then the heaviness and the mosh pit kind of aggression that it takes to work with your hate breeds and everything else. I also saw that there's a guest vocal from Randy from Lamb of God on the new record, on the song In Spite, according to the track list here. So that's a pretty huge get for them. But yeah, stoked for Malevolence, stoked for the new record. I think they're going to be ones to watch for 2025. On that note, that is the end of side A. I'm going to jump over to side B. I'm going to keep things rolling. But if you would like to watch side B, you need to jump on over to the TPD Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/TPDpod, you can become a member of the Pitch of Discontent Patreon. You get access to all the full weekly roundups, both side A, side B, every week in full. You also get access to some of the little write-ups that I'm doing as part of our newsletter. You get access to bonus episodes from our guest episodes. I usually try and throw in at least as much content as you get in a main bonus episode with stuff on the Patreon. So I'm trying to give you bang for your buck. You get exclusive access to some of the Dispatch Bay episodes that we put up, which are the smaller kind of press promo stuff that we do as part of the show. There's heaps of stuff there. I'm doing polls. I'm asking people what they want. Going to do some exclusive, Patreon only stuff when I get time and I'm not crazy busy. But please join the Patreon. Help us keep the lights on. Help us try and scale the show up and make it something that's really worth your hard-earned dollars. That's enough of a plug and call to action. But yeah, I'll see everyone at side B for the rest of the show. And if not, I'll catch you next week. Peace. Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/TPDpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/TPDpod. Thanks for watching the show.